course on Tuesday.
Yeah, but so this was Friday night, they were complicated. There's not supposed to be any comments in it. So that was Friday night.
Right.
You finished it. Or the comments, you know. When you did have a chicken.
So for Pesach, we'll learn the mimer. We'll start a mimer today for Pesach.
Okay.
Hopefully finish it today, tomorrow. Maybe not. We'll finish it on Pesach then. Oh, we won't finish it on Pesach.
Right.
Maybe we can learn on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Learn on Zoom.
Yeah.
We could learn on Zoom.
Yeah, no problem.
Hayam Rav Vayanos, Ha'arim U'Kedur Chayelim. This mimer is from 1801. Sorry, 1811. Okay.
That's close to the time of...
It's very close to when he passed away. He passed away in 1813. So this was the seventh day of Pesach in 1811. So the sea saw and fled, and the mountains saw and danced. It's part of Hallel. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's talking about Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's talking about the Exodus from Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
You have to understand why is it that the mountains are described as dancing while the sea is described as fleeing, running away? The book is divided into, he divided it into the names of, it's around the year. The Shla was the book that was learned. Shnei Luchot Habrit was a book that was, in Kabbalah that was learned before the Baal Shem Tov. Before the Baal Shem Tov came along. And before there was Chassidus, so people learned Kabbalah and wanted to daven with Kavanos. So they either learned, they obviously learned Priyatz Chaim, that was around already. And they were also those who did according to the Shla. So the Alter Rebbe, before he became a disciple of the Maggid, he was a Shlayid. That's what they called him. So the Shla went year round, and he explained all the kavanos of all the different holidays and all the separate special days. So he has a section on Pesach. It's called Masechet Pesachim. He calls them Masachtot, like in the Shas, like in the Gemara. Peresh ki anisa hu avodah meira v'arikud hu avodah me'ava. So already you see here how he follows the same way the Kabbalah would do things, and this already you get a sense of Chassidus, because the Arizal would have said that running away is Gvura and dancing is Chesed. The Shla already says the more inner, the more experiential explanation, that to flee is avoda. It's already serving God out of fear, out of awe, and dancing is serving Him out of love. So here he gives a very important, it becomes a very big motif in Chabad, that the servant has fear, has the awe of the king, and the Sar has love of the king. But you could also explain it the other way around. I'm not sure which one he means. It could be that the servant is much closer. And so when you look at the servant, you see him dancing, as it were. Here is everywhere around the king. And the minister, so he has awe of the king. Okay. He's always in fear. So it could be either way. Let's see how he explains it. I don't remember what the Shla says. When the king is revealed, so he explains it that the minister is love. And it's very interesting that it's love, because you wouldn't think that that joy, that serving God out of joy is like serving out of love, because it goes to its flip sides, right? Because love is on the right side, and joy is the experience of understanding, of bina, so it's on the left side. So I would have thought that maybe whoever serves out of awe would elevate when he sees the king and serve out of joy. That's how I would have thought. But the Shla says no, the other way around. He says the Sar, the minister, his service of the king is in joy. And he becomes more joyous when he sees the king. V'zeu he'arim, and that's what it means that the mountains are the ministers, hemidot de'atzilut, they are the the 7 emotional traits of emanation, shemisham shorish haneshamot, from where the source of the souls is taken, and the souls are called achim lamakom, they're called brothers to God, and sometimes they're called brothers. Or kesar lifnei hamelech, the soul is also called like a minister before the king, therefore they danced. But what is now the Eved? So the Eved, the servant, is not the soul. So who would you say it is? Who could be the servant here? So if the sorry, the I would say it's the body, the soul and the body. Or I would say, if you're saying that the 7 faculties, well, not 7, here it'll turn out to be 7, but it's really 6. The 6 faculties of the emotions, from chesed to yesod in this case, the za is the minister, so then malchus would be the servant. Okay? So that's how he's going to divide it. But let's see if how we understand this. So this servants. So the servant now is the sea. Azai uvchinat evet shavodato b'ira. Azai b'idgulut hamelech tipol ha'ema v'apachad biyoter v'zeu hayam. So the sea is now feeling fear and awe. Shemisham shorish b'chinat ke'eved lifnei hamelech ra'av hayanos, and that's why it flees. In any case, there's more distance. Okay. But it's very interesting. It's very interesting that this is how he explains it. I wouldn't have thought this. So in my head, I would have completely said it was the opposite. But it fits with the midos and malchus. It fits. Okay. So in any case, this is early. You could say that the Shla is like early Chassidus. Like
how long was it before the Alter Rebbe?
For the Alter Rebbe, he's more than, I think he's more than 100 years. Yeah, he's a bit more. Let's see. The Baal Shem Tov was born in 1698. I think the Shla is 1650, 1680, something like that. So before the Alter Rebbe, he's about 80 years. I think 80 years before. V'inyan, so first we have to understand the meaning of the 7th day of Pesach, in which the Red Sea was split. Explained by the Arizal. So here's the connection. And the 7th day of Pesach, the water splitting is like water breaking. Yeah. So it's like the day on which the souls of the Jewish people were born. So they weren't born when they came out of Egypt on the first day, on the 15th of Nisan. They were actually born on the 21st day of Nisan, on the 7th day of Pesach. And that's what it means that the children of Israel went on land inside the sea. So basically, what he's saying is that normally this world is all sea, it's all ocean, it's all water. And life, as being born into the world, is like having a stretch of land through the ocean. Okay, why is it that way? So in the ancient picture of reality, the 4 elements were ordered one over the other. So first there was the earth, and as we read in the beginning of the Torah, the earth was entirely covered by water. Above the water was air, was God's Spirit hovering over the waters. And the Esh, like the Ramban writes in the beginning in this commentary on Bereshis, the Esh was dark, and the Esh, the fire was actually space, what's around the atmosphere. That's called the elemental fire. And that everybody agreed with. That was the picture of the universe in the time of the Greeks. And the sages adopted it completely. They just explained it differently, right? It has different meanings. But then one of the meanings is, the big question was, how is it that there are areas of the earth that are not covered by water? Because we exist.
So that seems so.
So in the Torah, so it was very interesting. They said, this is what it says in the Torah, that Hashem uncovered some of the land to allow there to be dry earth. But it's against nature. That the natural order of things would have been for everything to be covered by water.
Like in Australia right now.
I don't know what's going on in Australia.
Tremendous floods.
Okay. So anyway, so more than like in Australia, more like in Japan, but keep going until even Mount Fuji is gone, right? So having dry land is seen as an intervention against nature. Okay? So if you say that souls need dry land, what are you saying? That the soul goes against nature. There's something about the soul that's above and beyond nature. And it also makes sense, because what is the soul more like? It's more like the air that's above the water. And now it's coming down and it's making for itself like a dry area. So if we compare this to the world, this also makes a lot of sense, because then the dry earth is, or the earth itself underneath is the Malchus, is the world of action. And then there's the world of formation. And water takes on, it's very famous, water takes on any form. The idea of a liquid is that it takes on any form. And then the air becomes the world of understanding, the world of creation. And finally, that's where the source of everything is in the air, the atmosphere around the waters. And then finally, the elemental fire, that's the world of emanation, where there is nothing that exists separately from Hashem. So you could say that that's not Elohim anymore. It's not the name of God that creates the world. It's Havaya. It's already. And then it would make sense that the souls are coming from the air, but in order to subsist, they have to, as it were, get a plot of dry land where the earth meets the air. So this is an interesting thing, that wherever there's dry land, the earth connects with the elemental air, and it skips the water in between. So the water is seen as like some kind of impediment to allowing life, which is true. It's like there's too much form, there's not enough matter. But you want the matter to be connected to the air so that the soul has a place.
Except for the fishes.
The fish don't have a soul for that reason. Or their soul is it's tenuous, it's very light. So the moment you take them out, you don't have to slaughter them. You don't have to do anything to them. You just eat them the way they are. And that means slaughtering them is just taking them out of their habitat. So that's how the sages adopted the Greek framework of the cosmos. So he says here, Veinyan. How are we going to explain this now? So he's not going to explain it according to the ancient cosmology. He's just going to focus on the meanings of things. So the reason I said this was actually because of this line, that the souls of the Jewish people rose up in thought, meaning that they came first in thought. And it's then when they're in the thought that they're called brothers and companions to Hashem. Why? Brothers and companions, again, when they're in the thought, before He's created them, they're sharing, as it were, the same thought, the same Torah inside Hashem's mind. When do we call God Kudsha Brichu? They're called brothers and companions not to God, but to the Holy Blessed One. And these, we talk about this, that whenever the sages use a different connotation for Hashem, they mean something else. Each connotation means something different. They're not all meaning God. So we just say God and call it a day. But they have different connotations. And the Holy Blessed One is the connotation for the infinite light when it is engarbed in the emotional faculties in the world of emanation. Okay, we had the last week, what we studied was how the infinite light is engarbed in the wisdom of the world of emanation. So now we're talking about how the infinite light is engarbed in the emotional faculties of the world of wisdom, of emanation, of Atzilut. Because as we know, the infinite itself is beyond all engarbment, it's beyond all the different measures, all the different faculties. And you can't even give it a name. You only give it a name, the Holy Blessed One, when you mean when it's revealed. And to be revealed, the principle that the Arizal, in his engarbment Kabbalah, in his enclothement, his slapshus type of Kabbalah, is that for something to be revealed, it has to have a vessel. It has to have some kind of garb. It has to have some kind of vestment that it puts on, right? You wouldn't be caught outside not wearing something. So not in the same way that a person won't reveal himself until he has clothing on, which happens to me a lot. Okay? And some people have to wait outside and wait until they can. So the same thing is with anything spiritual. Nothing spiritual can have an effect. It cannot be seen, cannot be experienced until it has some kind of garment. Ve'az nikra havaya, and when he's revealed, then he's called Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud Chochma, Hei Bina. But just he says here a very interesting concept, that just the fact that you say that the four letters of God's essential name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, mean wisdom, they mean understanding, they mean all these things, it means that they're engarbed already.
It's a bird. It's somebody cleaning something.
No, it's somebody cleaning.
Yeah, there's a story of a person who lived in Crown Heights, and he had to get the Yen Zekvel in the middle of America, and he eventually ended up at the house of the Shaliach. It was like he was stuck, so he knocked on the door of the Shaliach.
What's stuck?
He didn't have a hotel, he didn't have a place to eat, he was stuck, you know.
He wasn't stuck. He had to go to the Shaliach's house.
No, that wasn't the purpose of his visit.
It doesn't matter.
So he knocks on the door of the Shaliach, and it takes quite a long time for the door to open. So
we're back there.
The Shaliach said to him, sorry you had to wait, but I have a minhag. I never open the door until I've got my hat and my jacket on.
Oh.
So the guy went back to the Rebbe and said, the Shaliach won't open the door, he won't look at anybody, he won't ever look at him unless he's got his hat and jacket on. So the Rebbe said, Alavai, that my lot was with his lot.
Okay.
So see, in here, in
Okay.
government. You know?
Very good.
I have to run. I have a problem.
Okay.
I just forgot something. I have to go down and check it. And I may have to go back to my house, which is going to mess me around.
So just to say one more sentence, Havaya doesn't only mean that. It can also mean the essential name. When we say it's the essential name, we mean that it doesn't mean wisdom, understanding, faculties, and kingdom. We just mean without any engarbment. Havaya means both. Because we have Shemishum again, like we saw yesterday, that the sheath is the garb, but it can also appear without the garb. So Havaya, it's tricky because the name refers to different aspects of Hashem, either engarbed or not.
Okay, I thought it was a very high level of the shit.
It's both. It's both. That's the thing. It's called Shema Miuchad, Shema Etzem, and Shema Atzilut. It's also the name of Atzilus. In Atzilus, it's already engarbed. Like we saw last week, that it's engarbed in wisdom. Okay, so let's end here.
You have a Zoom account?
Yes, I'll send you the link. It's very easy.
Okay. And on Thursday, because who knows what will be, no, Friday I don't think we'll get it done.
So take this with you.
Exactly what I was going to say.
And I'll get you another one ready for next week.
Take it with me now already?
No, you can leave it here for tomorrow. But
Yeah,
I'll give you this and I'll give you another one.
Thursday, Friday's going to be